I'm going to bring up our next speaker. We're very excited for this, but, humble beginnings. Humble beginnings. Let's just take a moment to just soak that one in. He's just kind of got the lean in there. So fun fact, John actually earned the Smiles a Lot award in his third grade class. Not perfect attendance, not most improved, not really good with math. Smiles a lot. Smiles a lot. You guys, John, I don't really need to say that because you have seen. You have seen how broken this world has been over the last handful of years. And what we've seen is this light shining in the middle of the darkness. We've seen Dr. John come in at just the right time and help walk people through one of the darkest seasons we've ever faced as a nation, as a world. He has been a gift to so many folks that just never knew that they had the same problems as someone else, to be seen, to be heard, to be known, to be loved enough to be told the truth, and then walk through that to see that there's hope on the other side. I'm excited for him to share with you guys today. You may have heard him on the Dr. John Delony show. You've seen him on the Ramsey show. He's the best-selling author of Own Your Past, Change Your Future, and he's got a message for every single one of us in this room. So please welcome to the stage, Dr. John Delony!
I was putting out the vibe, man. So I was 21, and I got my first job out of college, and I was a high school geography teacher and a track coach. And the district I worked at, you had to have two sports, and so they gave you a second sport. I got basketball. Here's what I knew about basketball. I knew that if you shot from really far away, you would get more points. I knew from middle school if I hit somebody, they got to go shoot all by themselves so nobody could touch them. And I learned if I call timeout, everyone has to stop. And that was incredible power for a 21-year-old. So I finished the cross-country season. They hand me keys and a big yellow bus and 14 wide-eyed sophomores in high school. And they taught me a couple of plays, the head coach did, and they said, go get them. And dude, listen, we're at a big 5A school in Houston, Texas. The athletes they gave me were unbelievable. First game, destruction. Second game, crushing. We're driving around, like I'm trying to lean the seat back in this bus thinking I'm basketball coach of the century, and I'm like, Bobby Knight, have they seen this, right? We're just rolling. Then we're 8-0, and we're in the middle of this game. By the way, I wore this huge suit that was way too big for my skinny little body, and I had dress shoes, and I was always running, and you could hear me clamping because there's 6.5 people in the stands for a sophomore basketball game. And we're getting killed. It's 25-8. I'll never forget that score. I'm so mad, and I've got my stupid, run the plays! And we're getting smashed. And finally, timeout! And I thought timeout was like a coach like tapping out in jiu-jitsu. Like, you had to call timeout. That's what I felt, so I did it. The team jogs off the field, like kind of with their heads down. The guys get off the bench, and they surround me, and I come out with my clipboard, and I'm writing all these plays down. Why don't you just run the play? It's a simple motion offense. Pass and screen away. Pass and screen away. Are you an idiot? Are you dumb? Can you speed? Like, I was so, oh, man. And they were all just down like this, and I was like, run the play. One kid, Marquise, skinny little, he's amazing. Picks up his, when you're a sophomore and you weigh 1.2 pounds on your body and you weigh 111 pounds in your head, that was him. He pulls this big head up and he said, Coach, it's not gonna work. I lost it. What do you mean it's not gonna work? Run the offense. Coach, it's not gonna work. And all the other players are like, bro, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean it's not gonna work, Marquise? And the ref, time to go. And he goes, Coach, we're running man-to-man offense. They're running a zone. And I said, I don't care, run the plays. And he goes, they're running a zone. And then I had a choice to make. I could keep screaming, or I can do what I did. I put the clipboard down by my side like this, and I said, what's a zone? And they all looked up, and their eyes were real big. And Marquise goes, they're not guarding anybody, they're just guarding an area. And I go, what do you mean they're not guarding anybody? They're just standing there like this? And they're like, yes, that's why it's not working. And then this other player was like, coach, what are we gonna do? And the ref blows the whistle, let's go. And I go, good luck, guys. Y'all go get him. And I went and sat down. That's it. I didn't know what a zone was. They looked at, like, you could see them walking off, and they were just like, what is that? Right? They like walked out. We got killed that game. Right? We got killed. Listen, I didn't know what a zone was. I was the coach. I should have known. I didn't know what it was. And they knew that I didn't know. But here's what I do know. I know about y'all. I know about your life. You're exhausted. Kids are finally in bed. Either they're asleep or they're just playing video games, and you're just hoping they make wise choices with online gaming because, listen, their door is shut, and I'm going to call that a win. And I just hope that they're not being whatevered on chat forums. The lights are low in your house, right? The lights are low. And you lay down in bed. And then you realize as an adult, life is awful because all day you're trying not to fall asleep until the moment you want to fall asleep, and then you're trying to not stay awake, right? Your body commits this act of mutiny, but you put your headphones on, and it's this awesome murder podcast that you're obsessed with, because why do they keep coming back to the scene, right? Or you put on two loudmouth, idiotic radio guys, and they're like, the end of the world's coming, pew, like whatever they're doing, and you're trying to go to sleep, and then you take your headphones off, and you turn on the TV, and you watch The Office or Ted Lasso, because those imaginary actors, the actors are real. The imaginary characters on this imaginary shows are the only decent people left in the whole wide world. And after a while, your eyes are all crossed from all these devices, so you know you can't sleep, and so you're in your bathroom, and you're grinding up Tylenol PM, and you're just snorting it off the counter, right? And then, until about 3 a.m., when you're not asleep, by the way, you're just unconscious. And then, at 3 a.m., you pop open, and your brain says, listen, there's huge problems in the world, and we can't solve them, but let's think about them. And you're like, yes. And it's like China and Taiwan, right? And climate change, and that mole on the back of Billy's neck, which is for sure cancer, and you don't have anybody to talk to, so you're like, I know who knows, Google and Facebook. And so you pull it up, and you start heading and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And then one point, you check your bank balance. And then you roll over and you're like, wait a minute, Southwest credit card. And then your stomach drops and you think, I think it's time for hypersonic diarrhea because I didn't know it was so bad. And then you finally drift off asleep, and your alarm goes off in an hour, and you wake up and you drag yourself into the shower because you're late, but you're always late. And then you walk by the mirror by the shower and you just look for a second. One or two of you in this audience goes, that's what I'm talking about. The rest of you are walking and you go, I don't think I believe in God anymore. And you start mainlining coffee to burn off the chemicals that you took the night before, and you're scanning Facebook for the latest tragic prayer request, and you woke up in the middle of the night and you were wondering, is that girl that I had a crush on in middle school, is she still like kind of a smoke show? And you have to find out before work starts, right? And you're late, and so you're running around the house, and all of your conversations are like, hey, don't forget, and hey, I told you to, and what do you mean that's due to, your mother's coming for what, how long? And then you make eye contact with your wife. And you're like, and she feels the lasers coming from, and she goes, no, we're not having sex today. I'm gonna have gas or something, go away. And then you go down to the garage and you're getting into the car and one of your kids just barfs everywhere. But your first thought isn't, hey, baby, are you okay? Your first thought is, if I just keep walking, she'll clean that up, right? Busted. And then you get to work. You get to work, and you're standing next to this woman by the elevator who's like, I heard you're on keto. You shouldn't eat keto. You can eat bacon. But you just cut off the fat parts because 23andMe and Whole30, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And by the way, sitting is the new standing. Did you know that? You should wear barefoot shoes. Except my friend Sparrow, she's rolling organic tobacco cigarettes because sitting is the standing of the new smoking. It's amazing. And then Dan shows up, and freaking Dan's always late, but Dan brings donuts, and it's incredible because the only thing that can make that picture of you nude in the mirror go away is more carbs and sugar, right? And it just goes away. And then you're waiting by the bathroom, and a guy says these exact words. Oh, no. He's behind you, so you can't even see him. And you hear these words. Oh, no. I'm a cat dad. It's just like being a regular dad, except harder, more challenging. And then you have this fast food lunch full of indigestion and diarrhea again and insulin. And then you have to go to a meeting led by a 22-year-old with a master's degree in leadership. And he's never led anything other than a rubber ducky around the bathtub, right? And you're sitting there. What are you doing? And then you're out. You just stare off into space like this until you get in your car and you put on another murder podcast, and then you drive home. And then you get into the driveway and you start to get out and you go, nah, I'm just gonna scroll some more, right, where it's safe in my little car, right? And then you and your wife hit the couch. You don't look at each other and go, hey, our financial situation's pretty rough, and I'm not sleeping super good, and our schedule's packed tighter than millennial jeans, right? Like we're like, so we can't breathe. And your mother wants to come over again. And then your mother-in-law, by the way, sends an email that gives you the next 14 years of Christmas and Thanksgiving plans. And you're thinking, I don't want to do any of those things. But you also know that your wife or husband listens to all those murder podcasts, and they may never find your body. And so you retreat into ESPN fantasy sports. We are using other grown men who are real people who play a game for a living as action figures in our imaginary world. No! We should all be like, oh no. I disappear into fantasy sports, and my wife is sitting by me on the couch scrolling on her iPad, and she's looking up pallet walls and cauliflower mashed potatoes and 18-year-old birthdays ideas. Our kid's 9, so we got a minute, but we got to be prepared. And then I'm snorting Tylenol PM off the counter again. This is our day. This is your day. This is my day. This is our life. What are we doing? And then we go to the doctor or a counselor or a pastor or to the internet, and we say, I'm so anxious. How do I get rid of my anxiety? I've got such bad chronic stress. I'm burned out. And the doctor tells us, hey, anxiety, it's a disease. It's a genetic condition. You're going to have to take meds the rest of your life. It's this real bad, like it's an identity. You have it. You've got it. You've got it. I didn't want to have that, but I guess I have it now. And so I go through my life trying to do all the things that they tell me. And I take all the online quizzes, and I do all the stuff and the stuff on top of the stuff. And then my body says, I'm out. And one day, through tears and I just can't anymore, I sit down and I say, I'm out. I miss my husband. I'm deeply alone at my kitchen table, and I know people at this table love me, and I feel completely and totally alone. And we haven't been intimate forever, and I'm stressed beyond everything. My marriage is crumbling. My kids don't want to be around me anymore. And look, like for real, like the world's falling apart. And one last time, you call timeout. And you go to the experts, another counselor, another doctor, some yoga practitioner. You're just rubbing essential oils all over your body, hoping that, like whatever. One last time, you go to the experts and you say, what is happening to my family? What's happening to me? What's happening to our schools? What is happening? And they lean over and they go, come here. They don't know. They don't know. There's nothing scarier than realizing, oh, there's nobody driving. Imagine you're in your house and you're on your couch and your feet are propped up on the coffee table and you're just watching The Office, okay? And then all of a sudden, your smoke alarm in the kitchen goes off, okay? Smoke alarm goes off. And that's not real, by the way. Everybody take a breather. But the smoke alarm goes off and you just turn the TV up louder. I'm gonna ignore that. And then it gets louder. And then I'm just gonna talk real loud and pretend it's not real. And then I'm gonna cover up my hands. I can't hear the TV, I sure can't hear you, but it's just so loud. And then I call like some well-meaning junior pastor, and I call some counselor, and I call my neighbor who, I don't know, he knows karate, and we get up on top of a ladder in our kitchen, and we pull the batteries out of the alarm, and we fixed it. Phew. All things are quiet now. And then we plop down back on the couch and we put our feet up, and our house burns down around us. More people are under the care of a professional mental health, a licensed mental health professional right now than ever before in human history. More people are taking psychotropic medications right now than ever before in human history. We communicate with more people. We share information back with more people than ever before in human history. We have everything. Everyone's in counseling. Everyone has access to medication. Everyone's got access to food, transportation, work. We have everything. And every trend line for depression and anxiety continues to be a rocket ship straight up. The last time I saw a stat, it said 50% between burnout, chronic stress, and anxiety. 50% of people experience it, and I actually think that number's low, because I think men and women experience it differently, and it shows up differently on some of these psychometric tests. But listen, let's just take 50%. That's all of you. And y'all are like, suckers, right? But here's what's worse. Y'all are married to them. What we're doing is not working. It's not working. And I know this because I went through a season when I ignored the alarm, and I made more money, and I worked harder, and I achieved more, and my body said, I'm out. Anxiety almost took everything from me. And when I say everything, it almost took everything. And I've talked to thousands of people in real life and on my show, and people are melting down, they're being buried, they don't know what to do next. And so honestly, I set out to figure out what to do because I was tired of coaches. Guys, I was one of them. I had a platform, I was a dean of students at multiple places. I was always in front of groups talking and giving all of my answers, and it wasn't working. So I had to figure out what in the world is happening. And there was this big light bulb moment. Oh man, anxiety is not the problem. Anxiety is simply a smoke alarm letting you know one of a couple of things. You're not safe. Your body has detected you're not safe. Your body has detected that you don't have a tribe. You're lonely. You're alone. Your body's detected that your body is not healthy. It could be because you got trauma. It could be because you got illness. It could be because you have 4 Monster energy drinks every day and you come out of the shower and you're like, let's snap into a Slim Jim. Quit. In 5,000 years, people are gonna like, God, how do they have a heart the size of a Volkswagen engine? Like Monster Energy, it's gonna be a thing. Or it goes, the alarm sound because your body recognizes you don't have autonomy. You are not in control of your life, somebody else is. That's it. That's it. And the problem is we've created a world that our bodies cannot live in. So I'll say it again, anxiety is not the problem. Anxiety is just an alarm. Anxiety is your body's way of letting you know things aren't okay. If we look around, nothing is okay. Is that right? Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. And I know I've painted a dark scenario here, so we're going to run through, once you understand how anxiety works, and chronic stress and burnout and all this, once you learn what to do, it's like a light in the dark. It's like being pitch black and somebody lights a candle over there and suddenly the whole room you can see. There's hope. Okay, there's hope. And just like Dave said, I don't care about the credit score. I don't care about how good your interest rates are, your payments. Get out of debt. That's become like a thing for me. I don't care about all the sophistication, all the DSMs and all the stuff. I know all that stuff, and it's not helping regular people. There's hope. I'm going to give you a peek behind the curtain, not in how to fix anxiety, but how to build a non-anxious life. I don't want to not be anxious. I don't want to live in a house without a smoke alarm. It's good. It keeps you from burning to death. It's good. I just want this thing to be calibrated so it only goes off when there's actual issues, right? Listen, building a non-anxious life for many of you will take years, a long time. This is not a quick fix. If you want a quick fix, go get one of the burrito trucks, and it will quickly fix anything that's inside here. It will. That's the third diarrhea reference. I get paid, actually, by diarrhea references, so you're going to hear a lot of them. Most of us know things about mental health care, about medications, about mindfulness, breathing exercises. Listen, those are all incredible things. All of them. All of them. I go see a counselor on Friday. We'll spend 2 hours together, 2 hard hours together. It's going to be tough. I credit medication. Medication doesn't solve anxiety. It doesn't cure it. What it does is it turns the alarm down enough so you can go talk to a counselor, so you can look at your wife and say, I'm sorry, what are we going to do next? So you can call your kids and say, I don't know what, I was more about rules than I was about heart. Come home. So you can go exercise. You can do some of these other things, okay? So I believe all these things are all good. But listen, if we do those things on top of this insane life, it's like sprinting in quicksand. You just move your arms so fast and you just don't go anywhere. It's also like trying to explain at 3 a.m. to a 7-year-old, like, your body needs sleep, and then what? And she's just like, dragons and wool, whatever, dude. So listen, I want to share you a few things that are creating anxious lives that we don't even think about. One of them you're going to know, but the other ones are going to be like, right? And listen, it's going to be about putting the fires out, not dealing with the alarms, okay? Number one, your body will sound the alarm if, and this is an easy one for a Ramsey audience, if you owe somebody money. Dave's been saying this forever. I want to go a layer deeper. Jade was telling her story, and if you listened to her and watched, you can almost see her body re-catch itself because it put a GPS pin in that. We are not safe. Growing up for me, money was the devil. My dad was a homicide detective and a SWAT hostage negotiator that his community didn't think he was even worth a living wage. And so there was times he couldn't afford groceries for the three kids. He's just a cop. And while they're busy bickering and arguing about other crap, I have very distinct memories of my dad putting this newfangled thing in called an ATM card and doing this because he knew there was no money in there. And sometimes they accepted it and just did a late fee later, and sometimes they denied it. He just knew my kids need to eat tonight. And I remember when I was a senior in high school, my dad and I had a deal. If you work hard enough on track to get a scholarship, track was my thing. If you're on varsity, if you do a good enough job and you put everything into this and you also have a job, I'll cover your tux. $60 for prom. Prom rolls around. I got the lowest level tux you could get. It was $60 rental from a cheap place in this little strip mall. And I'll never forget my dad going up and trying to be quiet and cool about it. And he put 3 credit cards down and he said, you know dads when they rub their face because they're trying to make something happen that's not there? Put $8 on this one, put 19 on this one, and I think it's 40. I think I can do 41 on this one. I think I got $3. And I remember coming up saying, Dad, I don't need a tux. And he looked at me with that, damn, I'm gonna get choked up. He looked at me with that shame. That like, you deserve better than this. And I want to say, no, Dad, I got you. Didn't matter. Fast forward to my life, I'm earning ridiculous money as the associate dean of a university. My wife was Dr. Delony way before me. She was, for real. She's a research professor. She was fancy pants. Our combined salaries were insane. And we owed 6 figures. And we had cars. And we had to live in this house. And even then, money set my body off, right? I didn't know how we were going to pay our bills. So the dollar amount, I tried to out-earn my idiocracy. I couldn't get there. We didn't take vacations. I bought our bed frame. This is last year. After Own Your Past, Change Your Future went #1, my wife said, hey, could we get a headboard that's not off Craigslist that you spray painted in our backyard? And I was like, I think now's the time to take care of my little lady. We didn't buy anything. I looked down on people who bought expensive stuff. What it meant was I bought a bunch of junk and crap, and I was always replacing it. So we had stuff everywhere, and I patted myself on the back for not blowing money, but I did eat out a lot, and I bought a lot of supplements and fancy candies and subscriptions and tons of little things, and I was always in grad school, and my family's wealth just trickled out of a hole in the back of my wallet. Death by 1,000 cuts. Just went away. I was trying to outsmart math, and there was no math. Shame was a dragon, always breathing down my neck. And if I stopped for a moment, it was going to catch me. So I kept running, kept earning, kept spending, kept earning, kept running, kept spending, kept saying yes to everything. We had no freedom, like Jade said, we had no freedom. And listen, your frontal lobe, this critical thinking, it's pretty smart. 7 years with no payments, mathematically, it's a pretty good deal. 2% APR on a house, that's a great deal. It knows this. The threat detection part of your brain that's been there since the dawn of time, that's designed to look out for bears and tigers, says, hey, it might be a good deal, but if you sign up for this, one bad conversation at work and we don't have a home, you're going to have to sit on all of your opinions and values, because if you speak up in the wrong place, you get fired and we lose a car, the kids don't eat, and so your body won't let you sleep. Of course you can't sleep. Of course you don't want to make out with your spouse. Of course I don't want to exercise. I just want to drink and then watch Netflix. And listen, Netflix is like, sweet, we got you. Now you don't even have to do this. It just starts the next series for you. It's like, hey, we know you better than you know yourself because you spend a lot of time with us, so trust us, you're going to want to watch this. And I'm just like, okay. Oh, look. Of course you're consumed with idiotic news channels. And what's super awesome, everyone in this room just thought of the other news channel. Yours too. And you're like, oh, are we going to die? Are we going to die? Of course, because your body has enacted the system. And the system is, we can't die. We're going to die. If you owe money, your body will not let you. Number 2, the alarms will sound if you are surrounded by clutter and chaos. I did not know this. If you Google ADHD, my picture comes up, and it makes me feel warm and safe to have crap everywhere. And I didn't know it was making it worse. That's like a guy like a fireman covering himself in gasoline. He's like, I got this, right? That's me, okay? Listen, 3 things. We're wired for scarcity. For jillions of years, there probably wasn't going to be enough food. Fruit was only available 1 or 2 months a year. I've seen some of your Instagram videos of you so-called hunters. Y'all were going to starve. Our bodies are wired for scarcity. The second thing is, my granddad was alive during the Great Depression. He straightened nails because he had to. He had to. Because there was nowhere to go to get more steel. It was stunning for me when I heard that one of the big contributors to Hitler's loss was they ran out of wood and gas. What? They straightened nails because they had to. And then he raised a generation who then raised us. And what's our ethos? You better get it while you can. Get all of it. Get all of it. The third thing is these things. This. We're not keeping up with the Joneses anymore. There used to be one annoying couple on the street that had like the Cadillac that drove real slow just to be like, what's up? Now we're keeping up with everyone, everywhere, all the time. There's no place you can go where your body goes, we're good. We belong here. Because your algorithm will just be like, oh yeah, hold my beer. You're not good. Okay, I'm good. You're not good. Right? So we buy and we consume, we get bigger storage spaces, and we get. There's 3 types of clutter: physical, digital, and relational. I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones. Those are just the ones that haunt me. Okay? We have too much junk in our homes and our garages in these storage spaces. We've got 200 digital logins and 100 different passwords. How many of you just gave up? You just reset your password every time. I don't care. I'm pretty sure I bought something from logcutters.com.usa.org. Let's look at, oh my gosh. And look, we have 1 billion friends that aren't real. They're on the internet. Our bodies are designed for like 1 or 2 or 3 weirdos in a little tribe, and our parents being like, you're marrying her. And I'm like, no, it's happening, that's it. And now we can swipe right or left and marry anybody on the planet. And our bodies don't shut up. We have so much info coming all the time. And my friend Dawn, she goes by the Minimalist Mom. You should check her stuff out. She's amazing. She introduced me to this Japanese writer named Sasaki. Basically, in a nutshell, he says, every object you have is always having a conversation with you that you don't even know you're having. And I was like, that's stupid, until I walked into my house. And the dishes were like, oh, really? You're one of those piece of crap lazy husbands that won't even do the dishes? Do you not love your wife? And I'm like, oh, I love my wife. And then my shirts are laying over here, and they're like, oh, oh, you're going to start working out so you can actually fitness again, you lazy bum? And I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym, right? And then there's a leaky faucet, and it's like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you were an actual man that could fix anything? And I'm like, I know, it sucks. And my dog's like, will you just walk me? And my couch is like, are y'all just going to always be poor? I'm good enough? I'm good enough for you? It never stops, never stops, never stops, never stops. How many text messages do you get? I gotta respond. Oh gosh. Number 3, the alarms will sound if you have, George talked about margin in your budget. If you have no margin in your calendar. It's one thing to be gazelle intense. 100% I support that. Running for your life to get out of debt, to secure your family. I'm all about it. Save my life. Most of the people in this room, that's the way you live every minute of every day of your life. You're running. Our way of life is chaos, and it's insane. We have extra jobs and side hustles and the soccer game and the piano recital and the violin recital and then the Little League game over here. And then little Timmy, he's 6, and he got on the select travel team. So we get to go 900 miles every Saturday for a bunch of kids to do this. And then church, on top of church, pastors are like, hey man, I get paid by the person now, so if you're not here, and you're like, I gotta go, we're scheduled to be on the brink. If one little thing goes wrong, if one tire is flat, if one teacher who's locked in with my kid goes 5 minutes over, everything's off. It's over, right? And we say yes to everything because it props up our little egos, right? It makes you feel good to be asked. When I was bonkers, I said yes to everything. Because not saying yes meant I was a failure, because I only had worth if I could do stuff. And, by the way, the universe revolved around me, which meant I was the one to save it. So I said yes to everything, all the time. Best-selling author Ryan Holiday's buddy says, be careful. Because everything you say yes to means you're saying no to a whole bunch of other stuff. Never thought about that. Our bodies live on a steady diet of cortisol and adrenaline. Those are chemicals designed to keep us from being eaten, not to get Janet to the horse recital thing. Tiger, I'm gonna eat you. No. The T-ball game starts in 4 minutes. No! And our bodies are like, oh my gosh, we're gonna die again. And caller called into my show. This is recent. And I talk a lot. It's very, very rare that I'm speechless. The caller called in and was struggling, had quit drinking. It was amazing. And he said, obviously with quitting drinking, he quit going to all the bars, hanging out with the same friends. And he said, man, I'm working out a lot. I'm trying to read a lot. And here's a direct quote. I'm going to read it because I don't want to mess it up. I'm running out of ways to kill time. Whew. You can find the episode. I pause. I said, brother, your life is not something to kill. One of the most brilliant men in the world, I think, is Dr. Peter Attia. He showed me this, not him personally, I follow him on the internets, and he was talking about this calendar that changed his life. Go ahead and put it up here. It's a calendar of weeks. This is my life. The black ones are how much I've already spent. And if I live to 90, which statistically I won't, and put some miles on this thing early on. That's all I have left. And 10 of those years at the back end are going to be me sitting on my front porch drinking coffee, being like, how's George Campbell still getting those little bitty jeans? That's going to be me. This is it. It's the most precious thing you have is time. It's magic. And some of you spend an hour pooping while your wife puts all the kids to bed. And on your tombstone, your kids will put, here lies dad. Maybe you can finally stop being so freaking constipated. You have to cherish time. You have to give your body a chance to be bored, a chance to breathe, a chance to go. And look, we miss this. If God rested on the seventh day, is it too good for you? Is it too good for you? Number 4, the alarms will sound if you have no boundaries in your relationships. How many of you still have in-laws that tell you what your holiday plans are going to be? How many of you check your email the first thing that happens when you open your eyes in the morning, the last thing before you go to bed? Same thing with social media. How many have a child who's responsible for the emotional regulation of the adults in that house? It's Timmy's job to make sure, hey, whoa, Dad's going to get mad. Whoa, chill, dude. Mom is on a tear. Relax. It's not the kid's job. It's your job because you're an adult and they're a kid. How many of you spent several years working from home and then you all worked from home and then you just never went home from work? Or now that you're back in the office, you get home and you pull into the driveway and you check your email again. You just left like 15 minutes ago. This is going to be the one. Boundaries are the reverse golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat yourself how you want to be treated. We've actually done a pretty good job in this culture, especially in our little tribal culture, of taking care of other people. We treat ourselves like crap. Boundaries are your way of telling yourself, I love you enough to keep you safe. I love you enough to take care of myself so that I can show up for my wife, and my husband, and my kids, and people in my community. My friend Will Guidera is in New York, restaurateur. He's one of the best of the best of the best. He tells his wait staff, you cannot fill up the water glasses of our patrons if your pitcher is empty. Go back there and fill up your pitcher so you can take care of these people. And he's not just talking about water glasses, right? Take ownership of your life or other people will take it from you. Okay? All right, now. So I do this for a living. The 4 anxious choices. Don't owe anybody any money. Get rid of clutter and chaos. Put margin in your calendar. Create strong, firm boundaries in your life and your relationships. I'm incredible at all 4 of these things, in case you're wondering. I tried to stay with, I couldn't even stay with a straight face. So I'm going to run out of time, so I'll tell the story super fast. But I got a call one day when I was the dean of students at a school, from multiple people all at the same time. And that's usually a pretty good warning sign. So I happened to be out. And so I called a friend who worked in the administrative offices, and they gave me the address of this kid. So I just knocked on the door of his house. His roommate answered the door, super freaked out to see me there. And I was like, hey, man, I need to talk to Dan. Like, Dan's asleep. I was like, I know, I need to put my eyes on Dan. And it's kind of like when you're going to a student's house like that, it's kind of weird, and it's kind of like being a vampire, like you have to be invited in. So I was like just standing there, and he's like, I guess you can come in. I was like, yeah, that's right. So I went in, and I knocked on Dan's room, nothing. Opened the door. Dan is dead asleep, snoring. Like snoring so much that it made me laugh. And I looked at him, and he goes, yeah, he always sleeps like that. In Dan's room, every single thing had been taken off the wall, and there was 3 big black trash sacks here. There was a mattress laying directly on the floor with no bed frame. There was a bottle of pills. There was a small handgun and a cell phone. And I was up. I said, Dan, wake up. Nothing. I'm dying laughing. I got up to Dan's face like this, and I was like, Dan! And we were both dying laughing, me and his roommate. And this roommate was 25. He was probably 23, 24. So these are adult students. But I was laughing. And I was like, dude, that dude could sleep. And I was about to leave, and I called my friend. Her name is Amy, and she is one of my mentors in working with students who are struggling. She happened, by the grace of God, to be at lunch with a guy named Brian Van Brunt, who is the #1 brain around college mental health. He just happened to be at lunch. He lived in another state. And I called her and said, I'm at this student's house. And she's recounting this, and she's like, and you're screaming right in his face? And I'm like, yeah, I'm singing to him. And that's not even waking him up. And I heard through the phone, call 911, what are you doing? And it was like, whew. And I called 911. He's still alive. It was barely. I was trained. I had 2 PhDs in this. The number of students I've talked to about suicide, I can't even count them. I don't know. The number of student funerals I've done, I think I've lost count. But I missed it because I was so much in it. I missed it. While I was writing, I just submitted a new draft for the book. It's called Building a Non-Anxious Life. It comes out in the fall. You haven't read it yet. You better hang on. Halfway through, I actually left work. I canceled work for the whole week, and I went and checked myself into a hotel. 1, to write. I'm a chaotic mess. And 2, because I was finding myself unable to breathe in my home because I wasn't living these things out. And I realized I'm on a track to end up right back where I was. So what do I have to do? What do you have to do? What do we have to do? I wish there was here's what we have to do. We have to choose freedom. I got to choose freedom. Like, those guys are trolling me. Not that. When I say choose freedom, I'm talking about both our unconscious and conscious giving away of our lives to things that promise us the good life in exchange for our freedom. Most of us live for other people, for little trophies, for little certificates, for direct deposits. Most of us live for our little collections, and we're surrounded by junk and jam-packed calendars and exhaustion and frustration. And somebody's doing this, and this is not life. So I'm talking about choosing freedom. I'm talking about get back in the driver's seat of your own freaking life. Freedom from unshackles. Think of it like an aquarium filling up with water. You got people on the left saying, let's attack the people pouring the water. And you got people on the right saying, well, you just got to learn how to swim. And you got people up here saying, we got to build a foundation. And you got people down here saying, I don't even know if it's always been this way. We're always going to. What if we just got out of the aquarium? I'm out. I'm unplugging. My kids have to be on the sports team. No, they don't. I have to have this new car. You don't. If I don't go to this thing, you don't. Listen, I know what you're saying. It's cool, but you've not met my mother-in-law. I have to go to Thanksgiving at her. You don't. You don't have to live in this neighborhood or go to these schools or work at this place. You don't. Let's unplug from the whole freaking matrix. You in? So it's easy to talk. All of this starts with identity. I'm going to be different now. What does that mean? How am I going to be different in these 4 areas? I'm a guy who never borrows money. So when the house explodes, we're going to live in a tent because I don't do that thing over there. I'm a guy who's a good steward of my body. I'm a guy who's incredibly intentional about what goes on my calendar. I'm a guy who loves the word no. I'm a guy who has firm boundaries in relationships. This is ongoing. And listen, we're not trying to get rid of anxiety. The lie is that there's a finish line somewhere. There's not. It's not real. It's not real. It's going to keep going. And the fires, my friends, the fires will come. And that's what we're doing. Choose freedom in these 4 areas. Here's what it looks like. Number 1, don't owe anyone anything for any reason ever. Stamp that on your soul. ever. My cousin died about a year ago. He's about 15 years older than me, maybe 10 years older than me. He had a lot of struggles in his life. Every single Christmas we got together, he pulled me aside in this kind of awkward, doesn't want to look me in the eye kind of way, and he said, "Hey, I'm proud of you. Proud of you, man." And then out of nowhere, on his honeymoon with his third wife, he died. Just a few months ago. My wife and I had the privilege of not having to worry about plane tickets, not having to worry about staying under some weird aunt's couch because that's the only place we could sleep, not worrying about what we were going to eat. I got the privilege of flying to Houston, Texas, and driving in a rented car to look at my cousin and put my head on the casket and weep. I got permission, I had the gift of just being sad. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't fried. Being non-anxious, building a non-anxious life doesn't mean the fires aren't going to come. They're going to come. But we didn't owe anybody anything. I had peace. And by the way, we don't even know what that word means anymore. My granddad fought Nazis. And then he came home. And then he had a picture of what peace was. Not that. And now we're 2-3 generations of that. And we are scared and whiny and complaining and offended by the stupidest things now. We're insane. And every one of you just thought of the other political party. You're like, yeah, they're crazy. They're crazy. You! Stop it. As what my friend Ian Simpkins says, whatever you think your hate is doing, love can do better. Stop. Peace is going to sleep at night with no meds, just because you're tired. Sleep is drinking coffee in the morning because you want to, not because you have to. Right? Peace is tipping the waitress $100 on a pancake dinner just to watch her smile. Peace is seeing something offensive on a news station and, buckle up, kids, just changing the channel. Peace is seeing something offensive in the store or a library and doing this. Walk by. Or peace is knowing the name of your neighbors. Most of us know people that we hate more than we know the people that we like. Peace is, can my 2 feet still be planted right here on the ground when the storms come? Because God help you, the storms are going to come. Peace is, with your wife, I know what happened. And I don't forget our vows, and I hope you won't either. Peace is with your kids. I know you messed up, but you will always be my daughter. Come home. Peace is, now me and my wife don't owe anybody any money. When the economy tanks, it's just annoying. I get nervous. I have a deep freezer. I may have 2. I have 3 deep freezers, but listen, I'm not crazy. Call back to Jay, you got to reclaim your freedom from debt, okay? Here's the second one. The second one here. I know you're going to get this. Hear it from my soul. What if you still owe somebody money, whatever it takes, on the plane ride home, commit to your soul. We're done. Listen to this. From clutter and chaos, often the solution is less, not more. My granddad, when we moved, I had this pile of clothes. I was getting rid of a pile of clothes, and my granddad gave me this tweed jacket, super nerdy tweed jacket, when I got a job as a professor, because he was like, I know a nerd that needs this, right? It never fit. I'm bigger than my granddad. And I saw it, and I tried to get it on again. I was like, that ain't fitting. And I put it back with a keep pile. And I went to get something else, and I stopped. And I picked this jacket up. These are the words I spoke out loud. My granddad's not in this jacket. My granddad's right here. And I put this jacket in the giveaway pile because somebody in my community is going to need it. All we have in our culture when we get stressed or anxious or burned out is to get more stuff. Another planner, another yoga class. You know what you need? You don't need yoga. You need hot yoga. You need cold yoga. You need from hell yoga. I don't know what you're talking about. Or new organization apps, or new drinks, or new workouts, or new toys, or new what are you doing? My friend Joshua Field Milburn, he's with The Minimalist. Two incredible guys, three incredible guys, no, TK, incredible. He says, organizing is just well-structured hoarding. And he's right. If you ever think, we got to run over to the Container Store, no, you don't. You are not your car. You are not your pants. I promise you that pair of shoes is not going to make your dad finally call you and say, hey, I see you and I'm proud of you. That call's not coming. And the shoes aren't going to get you there. I promise. I promise one more DeWalt tool is not going to make you be like, that's what's up. It's not. Your grandmother's not in the old dining set or in that old crummy house that you keep pouring money into. When is enough enough? Intentionally cut the clutter. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Tell yourself a different story. Make peace with these things. Am I stupid because I don't read books? No, I'm busy raising a family. And do I need 2,000 books, which I think is the number we have in our house? 3? We have a very nerdy house. No, I don't. Give them away. Give them away. Choose freedom. Give them away. All right, let's go to number 3 real quick. We got to hustle because I got to get out of here. Number 3. The second time I've quoted Ian. Ian Simpkins says, if busyness is your drug, then rest will feel like stress. This is real for me. A couple of Christmases ago, I had booked a bunch of speaking gigs. The books were selling well. Everything in my life was going. And they weren't bad at home. I just didn't know how to speak wife. I didn't know. And she surely wasn't speaking husband. And I had no idea how to speak 6-year-old little girl. Because everything I said, I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I was good at work. And it was small. I just started spending more time there and started leaning this way. And we had a financial year that no Delony's ever had. And I had accolades that no Delony's ever had. And my wife came down in the gym, in our little garage gym, and she put her hand up by my chest. And she said, from this point forward, hear me say, we have enough. Anything you put on the calendar is not for me and it's not for our kids, it's for your ego. We have enough. I was scattered all over the place, all over the country, doing things that mattered, doing things that were valuable, and in the process, I passed over the things that were truly valuable, right? Clear your calendars. You are not how busy you are. Another activity isn't going to bring you peace. Stop running from your own life. Here's the damning thing about anxiety. The more you run from it, the stronger it gets because your body sounds the alarm, you run away from it, and you go, sweet, I got away from the bear. Next time, I'm going to make that alarm even louder. And you're like, and you go over here, and it's like, oh, no bears ever. It gets stronger. The only way to heal is to go right through it. When you feel the alarms, go through it. Go through it. All right, here's number 4. If you don't own your life, somebody else will. You got to create boundaries. You got to create boundaries with your technology. You got to create boundaries with work. You got to create boundaries with your employees. You got to create boundaries with your friends. What is a boundary? It's the line between what I need and what I want and what someone else needs and wants of me. Is your mother-in-law still deciding for Thanksgiving? Stop. Is your kid's soccer coach still deciding what your family does every weekend from here on out? Stop. Get back in your house. Ask yourself these 3 scary questions. What do you want? What do you need? What do I want my life to look like? Or if you're married, what do we want our life to look like? Give your body a fighting chance. Now, real quick, and then I'm out of here. After that game, I went home. And I sat on my couch and I ordered a pizza, and I had this basset hound named Molly. She was my ride or die, dude. And she would sit on the couch, and I would buy a pizza, and I would hand her a piece, and I would eat the other pieces, and she just ate pizza. Neither of us were just super healthy. And I had little army men, and I learned every single play. All of them. Fast forward to the next year. It's the last game of the season. We have 4 seconds left. I call timeout. Vince comes over, and he says, Coach, I'll make it. I'd gotten promoted. Our team had done well. And I said, this freaking Hoosiers? What do you mean you're going to make it? Inbound play, he took the ball and he shot the ball from a step inside a half court, nailed it, and we won it all. We went from 1 year of what's a zone to we won it all. There's a thing hanging from the rafter. You want to go represent 9th grade B team basketball? Bring it, suckers. When you feel anxious, ask yourself, not how can I get away? Ask myself, hey, whoa, what's on fire? My body's trying to take care of me. What's on fire? And some of those fires are tough. Some of those fires are scary. But then you can choose freedom. May the God of the universe bless you, give you great joy and peace and a non-anxious life. Thank you.